Your camera's great.
Camera's fixed up.
I
We're good
like
to
it.
go.
I
Yeah.
think it's looking good. What we need to do is position your what you're looking at on the screen nearer to your camera, so you're looking at the camera instead of at the screen.
Yeah, I can do that. How about
I'm
that? Is that
just
better?
I think that's fantastic. I feel like you're actually looking at me. I want to feel acknowledged and important.
Yes, I'm going to move you closer to where my camera is.
Okay.
There we go. It's because I got two screens now, Jim.
All right. I'm gonna tell you what, man. You are plunging into the 21st century
I am.
head first.
Did an update. Already got podcast scheduled for the whole month.
Wow,
We are
that's
going
pretty
all out
cool.
and
That's
taking
cool.
my first new Zoom clients this month as well. So it is moving forward.
So tell me about that. As I get my other stand-up camera straight, what are you doing with that?
You know what? I am offering a uh, a Zoom conference call, basically, just helping
Uh-huh.
people with whatever goals they're having or questions they may have about something or critique of a certain exercise. And if I'm also throwing in there, I said it's free if you join the PT club. So it's kind
Oh,
of a
the
little
old
teaser.
the
Yeah.
old onboarding
Yeah.
call,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
That's smart. How long do they get? Like a half an hour?
I didn't really set it in there. As typically
Okay.
it's probably going to be about 15, 20 minutes, but
Okay.
I didn't want to set a deadline because I didn't want to rush anybody through it or feel like people
Right.
had to him and haw and to stick around for an extra 10 minutes, so it's like it's
Right.
done when it's done, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you got any takers yet?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. That's
On
good.
my fourth one. Now it's just a matter of scheduling. So that's the next hurdle. But
Are you
it's
using Calendly, or do you have a calendar scheduler thing?
I have not done that yet.
Okay, that's a godsend if you're
Yeah.
doing that stuff. You got to
Yeah.
use one of those.
Yeah, I imagine that will be my next step to make this smoother.
Yeah,
Because
Susan knows how
I
that works.
do have a calendar on my desk, but
Yeah, that.
that doesn't work all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
It's easy to miss.
definitely Calendly. Um, I think we might be having a guest this morning. There's a little bit of a coordination mess up that was my fault. So we're actually doing something fun tomorrow. We are doing, talking about Zoom and small meetings, small groups, that kind of thing. We're actually doing tomorrow live workshop, afternoon workshop with myself, Susan, two of my coaches are going to be, we're all going to jump on and we're going to help 10 people get their avatar straight.
Sweet.
So we made the offer last Friday,
Yeah, I
and we
saw it.
sold out in 65 minutes. We went back and checked all the clocks and the times and everything. I would have been happier if it sold out in under an hour, but it sold out in
Uh,
what? What did you say, Susan?
It technically was an hour because
Oh, I
from
thought it
when the
was
last
65
email
minutes.
sent, it was less than an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Stu, the offer sold out in less than an hour. I thought it was
Sweet.
65 minutes. Don't make me do math. All
That's pretty
right.
sweet.
Thanks,
That's probably
Susan.
it probably sold out before all your emails went out. Right? How long does it take you to send out
Did
that
it
many
send?
emails?
Did they all go out before the emails?
I think
Did
it
it sell
did.
out before all the emails finished sending?
No, I think it did finish sending because the last email went at 2:28. I started at 2:13.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, by the time I get done with the sales copy, it'll sound like it sold out before we've hit send. All right. Cool. Thanks, Susan. All right. So we have a special guest, someone who actually did what we teach people to do and got amazing results. And so we're going to have Christine on. Do you want to, Stu, how do you want to handle the questions and stuff? Do you want to kind of do a modified to, through, and after, or do you want to just do how do you want to handle it?
Yeah, let's try to hit this thing so where she is doing most of the talking and just explaining to us the journey that it took to finish that workout, or I always call my books workouts. fill that book in a week, and let's see how it's going. I think it'd be kind of a fun. Like, my first question is, why did you want to write a book?
Okay.
So I think that's a great question to ask, because you got to have a why.
Okay, well, let's bring her on and we'll see what's what. Welcome, Christine.
Hi, thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. Thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about you and the market that you're in, who you serve and who you help.
Okay, awesome. I sort of have a twofold way that I work. One side is a coaching side, which actually helps my other side, which I do some elder care consulting. And I worked for a private home care agency here in New York City. And I will find caregivers and match them with families in need that are inquiring about a caregiver for their aging loved one that they want to stay at home. And I left that business. Yeah, that's I left that. I'm glad you got it. Thank you. I left that and started to doing it on my own about a year ago. And so it's the same thing. I find caregivers and match them with clients more in a consulting. So I advise them and then they pay them directly. And then I'm sort of out of it, just in the background if they need additional help. That, they're not going through an agency at that point. And it works for some people. Some people it's not appropriate for. They need an agency support because their loved one has more health issues. So my coaching side really helped me when I was developing my client base, because I would ask questions really differently than most people would ask them. If you call an agency, they usually ask you, all right, what schedule do you want? What's the problem? Very basic, really not inquiring about the person. And I really did it differently. And my coaching background, and Jim and you and I have something in common. I used to sell life insurance, and the training with that, you really have to listen and understand people and identify what their needs are. So all of that, my background in sales, my background as a coach, all sort of brought me to clients in a really different way. I showed up for them because they would all say to me, no one asks me these questions that you're asking me.
Okay.
I really feel like my loved one will be in a safe hands with you. I hand it over to you. And that all came from that inquiry stage of it. So that's really where my elder care consulting part of what I do comes in to play.
Hey, Christine, great job with the book.
Thank
by the
you.
way, congratulations. Not everybody wants to write a book. And there are many people who want to write a book, but never do. So why did you write this book?
I listened to Jim. You see his book is behind me. I don't know if you can see it. Copywriting Secrets. I did the One Funnel Away Challenge, and I've been trying to learn this digital space for a long time. I'm not really good at it, but even though I haven't really done really well with the digital, I learned so much from you guys talk about this framework, right? So in my book, I constantly was thinking about framework. Am I keeping this in the framework? And because I had that as sort of an outline, a foundation of what I did with the book or what I was going to do, the book sort of just started to create itself. I knew that I could share with people the things that I was hearing from clients. And it was, they really don't know. Sometimes they're embarrassed to ask questions. It's a very intimate thing, caregiving. And a lot of people, I was serving very wealthy people in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And a lot of times they lose their friends. They're getting older and they don't really know who to ask and who to turn to. So they would walk into my office. We had a street level office. And now people just call me. And they feel a little shame, a little embarrassment. It's really interesting, like why they would feel that, but they do. So I felt that I could ease people into it and help them. And I hoped with my book that I would obviously get people that want to hire me to help them as well. So I felt like I had something to share. And I know books legitimize you, right? Because I'm not an agency. So when you write a book, people look at you and say, wow, she knows what she's talking about and she knows what she's doing. And it started off as doing an ebook. That was my first intent. And then it just started to, I had more to say and I had more to share.
Very cool. So what was your business purpose in wanting to, especially take that book from initially wanting to do an ebook and then turning it into a book, a physical book? What was the motivation to do that?
I really wanted to separate myself from, there's a lot of agencies out there. I don't think they all do a great job at all. I think it's a very hard world for the aging population. It really is. And people don't really understand that. And I felt that I could share stories. And in the book, I really try. It's another thing that you guys taught me is I kept saying I have to share. And all the stories I write about are true stories. I had to edit some of them, change their names, but they all happened. So they're all real stories. I could have shared many more, but I was afraid to get too specific, that I was hoping people wouldn't recognize themselves if they actually got the book. So it was really to legitimize myself, to stand out in the crowd, and hopefully start to develop more people wanting to hire me as a consultant.
Okay. And let me ask just kind of a follow-up question. The book's been done now for a couple of months. How long?
November
how long's it been done?
4th, I think, is when it came out on Amazon.
Okay. So a couple of months. Have you, in the last 60 days or so, have you seen, what kind of results have you seen just so far? I'm just curious.
Not that many.
Okay.
People like congratulating me. I think there's been like 150 books sold, something like that.
Okay.
I have, it's through this company called Ingram Sparks that is set up with them. So I can get a report from them on how many books are sold. I've reached out to geriatric care managers. I've sent them the book. And so I'm thinking that it will come in time. My next thing, I was waiting to get some reviews. I created a brochure, and my next thing that I'm going to do marketing wise is really knocking on doors for doctor's office. I have a list of geriatric care doctors in New York City. Just go, bring my book, bring the brochure, and sort of bring it to their attention, and just try to network through the book, through what I would call centers of influence. So people that would refer people to that might need my help. They'll be a little hesitant because I'm not an agency. So it's definitely not that I can serve like tons and tons of people. I can't. It'll be very selective, specific type of clients that really don't need true healthcare. They need more of a companion. They need me to find somebody that's really that match. And that's what I'm really good at, is finding the right caregiver to match them with the client.
Have you tried any press or anything like that? Have you tried doing any press releases or sending the book out to local things with like story angles about elder care and COVID and stuff like that?
I paid for through the publisher was Palmetto Publishing. And then they wrote a press release for me. And then I found this company, E-Releases, and I paid them, and they did an initial push on the book. I still have that release. I tried to follow up with some of the companies they sent you, but I can't get the numbers. It's really hard to like find who you're supposed to call. I have the list, but none of it is accessible. At least I couldn't figure out how to call them. But I haven't done anything else as far as what you're talking about, a PR type of a thing. You know, I push it on my Facebook. I've joined groups, and if they let you, sometimes you're not allowed to post things. So I try to do that. I've put it on my Instagram, but I don't have like a big, following or anything like that. So.
Right. Have you tried any Sorry, Stu.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, have you reached out to any podcasts that might have the audience, either the people that need the care or the kids of people that need care? Have you
Not
gone
yet,
that
not
route
yet.
at all?
I definitely, this is my first podcast I've ever done, so this is
That's
exciting
okay.
for me. So no, I definitely intend on doing that. There was one person I found out, they haven't gotten back to me, but you would have to call lots and lots of people before you would get. So I'm creating a list of people to call to do that. I was really waiting, the book came out in November and then the holidays came and everything. So I was really waiting to get some reviews. I think I have 12 or 13 now. So I wanted to get some reviews on the website. I redid my website because I really didn't like my other one. So I wanted to get some of those things so that if people found me, I showed up the way I wanted to show up. So now
Gotcha.
I feel like I can do that. I can show up, better than I think I was showing up.
Yeah, nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like you're using the book as a business card, really.
Yeah,
and,
a little bit. Yeah.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't worry too much or waste. I shouldn't say waste. Use a lot of energy on just selling the book. Use the book as a way to get those clients, because that's the ultimate goal for you, obviously. I mean, it's nice to sell books. I sell a lot of books, and I think it's a fantastic thing, but the more people I can get into my coaching program or become clients, that is where you want the evolution of this relationship to go.
Right.
So I would really focus on you're doing the right thing, going to the doctors and getting people to know that you're out there,
Right.
and know that you're able to do this, and so yeah, keep moving in that direction, and use that as your primary, I guess, to-do list of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just getting it out there, and then you got a new website, and maybe do a few blog posts as well and share those all over social media. And something I use all the time is the hidden persuasion wizard that Jim has in the
Jim Edwards Method Premium.
Jim Edwards Method Premium. Yeah. And I just use that to kind of review the book itself, right? So just give your own review of the book, and it comes out to a nice little article that just explains a little bit about the book, but throws in some sales copy as well. And that's a good way to kind of do both, get people to read about what you're doing, as well as sell some books too.
Right. And you
That's
can also
great.
use
Thank
you can also use the product review wizard too. So those two, write up your own book using those two wizards, and that'll give you some really good copy stuff to send out. And I was just looking, I was showing up here on the screen. You've got 13 5-star reviews. Christine, you don't need to wait for any other reviews.
No, that's
you need
great.
to.
Yeah.
These are good. I would grab these and use these to help create flyers, and I'd sprinkle them in with press stuff, and I would be focusing on local news angle stuff, any kind of COVID related, anytime I know this is terrible, but to say, or it sounds terrible, but it's called newsjacking. If anything that happens with, like in New York, there was a real bad fire,
Right.
not this week.
Right.
Are your elder parents safe during winter with potential for fires and space heaters? And write an article, do some kind of an article about how to keep your parents safe during this time of year. What are some typical things that can happen to people when they live alone?
Okay.
And doing that kind of angle with your own stuff, and then sharing that with media sources, because do you live in New York City? Okay, so I mean, if you could get one person to do a story about you could be inundated with people wanting to do business with you, or having that credibility of that local press. I got written up. I was on the front cover of the Sunday edition of the New York Times real estate section back in 1997. I've written that for 25 years. I mean, it's just that being on that one thing for my real estate book. So with where you are, Stu and I have always been huge fans of old school media, and this is one of those things. Older folks, a lot of them probably still read the paper. I'm not telling you to take on that in the paper. What I'm telling you is try and get in the paper. And the way you do that is by just content marketing and sharing your message and that kind of thing. I mean, I would just be, with the aging population and everything, I'd be doing everything I could to try and break into stuff. Also, do you like to speak? You don't seem like you're a shy person. Do you enjoy speaking?
I do. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but if I know what I'm saying, I'm fine with it. If I'm practiced and I have prepared, I'm not, I'm nervous, but I'll do it.
Right. So I would investigate if there are any types of support groups or there's millions of people in New York City. So there's like probably groups for everything. I mean, I know COVID kind of throws a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
But there's got to be groups that you could go talk to about elder care. There's got to be groups that you could go get in front of, and you hold up your book and you tell people what you do. And every group you talk to, I bet you at least one person would come up to you at the end and say, you know what, I need to talk to you. I need help.
Right.
That's like my real estate book. Yeah, I sold my real estate book, but would you rather, I don't know how much you make, but when I was selling houses,
like $5 per book.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the book. But when I was selling houses, I would make on average $3,000 for selling a house. Okay. You're making $5 a book. I know the math for that is 600 books. That's 600 times 5 is 3,000. Is it easier to sell one person and make $3,000 or sell 600 people for $5? The book is the vehicle to build your business. It's in any business. Your value ladder doesn't have to be online, though it could be. So you need to start thinking about this as the beginning of your value ladder and start just doing your deal everywhere in front of the right audience. But I think if you get some good traction, with the way the world works and you understand centers of influence, all you need is a couple of ladies in New York to start running their mouth to every freaking person they know that has old parents. I'm not kidding. I'm right. I mean, that's how it works. So this is your credibility. Then now go out and just, make it happen.
Yeah, I would absolutely send out press releases to just about every TV show that's done in New York City. Have some flyers too that go with it. The one thing, a great thing about New York City is that media market is made for old school media.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to rely on internet and digital. And I mean, it's nice. You should, but you should have that as well. But you can go old school media big time in New York City. I remember one of the best shows I was on. I was on The View 2 times, Jim. Did you know that?
Wow.
So I was on the,
really?
I was
when
on
was
The View.
this? When was
And you're
this?
still standing?
Back in the late 90s. Back in the late
Wow.
90s, yeah.
Wow.
So Barbara was still there.
Yep, Barbara was there and Meredith. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a nice group.
I did not know that. That's so cool, dude.
I was on The View 2 times. Yeah.
Wow.
And all it was I came up with the new book. I sent, my publisher sent a press release to The View and they're like, sure, let's do it.
Wow.
And so, it can be as simple as that. Send a copy of the book and a press release. I guarantee you this is a topic that people need to talk about.
Yeah, the aging population by, I think, 2060 is going to be like 95 million of 65 and over. And of that, they're saying that some studies show that about half of people will need help. And COVID has actually made it where people definitely don't want to go into a nursing home, maybe a high-end assisted living facility, but they really don't want to go into it. And so the competition for caregivers is going to be really high. And that's one of the things I talk about in the book. Even though the book is made for the client's perspective, one of the things that I talk about is after you find that perfect caregiver is how do you keep them? and what they're looking for. So I interviewed some caregivers and I said, what if families want to know? What do you want families to know that you want and need? And I worked, definitely with some very demanding clients. They
Of
want
course.
things, they're paying premium prices for caregivers. Anywhere in New York City, I was charging anywhere when I was with the agency, $40 to $50 an hour. And the caregiver's making somewhere like 20 to 22, something like that per hour. New York City is very different market than the rest of the country as far as what caregivers earn and what they want to earn and what you have to pay for care.
Sure.
Maybe California might be similar in some parts of California, but New York is probably, the Upper East Side is probably where people are paying the most
Absolutely.
out-of-pocket care.
This is your golden ticket. This is the golden ticket to build that business. So we really appreciate you being on with us.
Thank you.
We just encourage you to keep using this tool and just kicking butt. So appreciate it, Christine.
Very much.
Just keep us posted, okay?
I will. Thank you. I appreciate your time and the advice.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that was awesome. Good for her. That's amazing. And one of the things, Anna, thank you for that. I couldn't remember it. Stu, you used to use this a bit. Help a Reporter Out, Haro, helpareporterout.com. You can go to that and look for people who are looking for stories and stuff. So I want to share something with you guys. It's only 3 minutes long, but I want y'all to know what a stud Stu Smith is. So we are going.
Did you find it?
No, I didn't find that one.
Oh.
But I found something else that I want to play. And it's only going to take 3 minutes, but it just shows what a badass Stu is. So
different TV show.
Here we go. This is when Stu was on Fight Science. Wasn't that what it was? Fight Science?
Yes.
So here we go.
The world's best trained warriors gathers in the name of science to push their bodies to their physical limits. The strength and stamina of Navy SEALs. The speed and focus of Green Berets. The lightning reflexes of Israeli commandos.
These guys perform at superhuman levels. They truly are in a class of their own.
The goal? Test their peak performance under environmental extremes. Today's mission: place this SEAL under the freezing conditions of hypothermia and see if it impairs his physical and tactical performance. The tools of the test include an obstacle course, a shooting gallery, and a giant tank of ice water. The water has reached a chilling level, about 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
I think I got the volume turned all the way up. That's as high as it goes.
I can hear it.
Okay. Out of this icy bath.
How's it feel?
It's cold. Heart rate went up to 100.
The cold water is a sudden shock to the body.
So we've immersed him for an hour in ice cold water. And look at him. He's cold, he's fatigued, he's stressed. We've got him to the position where he is uncomfortable physically, he's uncomfortable mentally. Now we're going to see how he performs in the exact same scenario we put him in before.
Now, the true test. Obstacle course and firing range. Can he match his earlier performance when his muscles weren't aching and stiff, when his mind wasn't fatigued, when his motor skills weren't impaired by the freezing cold? Can he even perform the drill at all?
Stu, you ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go!
Well, this is my favorite part. He drilled the guy in the face.
Come here. Show me where you're hit. right between the eyes.
That was
And in
good.
the hands in the center body mass of the target when he's presenting the firearm. Good shooting, brother. Good job.
Under stress, under adversity, under extreme cold.
That was fun.
Formal testing.
That's awesome, man. And Stu's been to my house and shot. He's real good with a pistol. I can tell you that.
I'm okay.
He's dead eye. It's
a perishable skill. I don't shoot it enough to be good at it still.
Anyway, I was impressed. The obstacle course was.
Yeah, it's kind of a joke. I tell you what, though, the balance beam on that 2x4 was not easy.
Yeah. Anyway, it was super cool.
My legs are cold. So
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So I just think that's cool. I had no idea you were on The View too.
I've been on a few
back in the day.
on a few shows. Yeah. I tell you what, what one of my best ones was a show was called Crook and Chase. Do you remember that show?
No.
Crook and Chase. It's like it's like a country music channel TV talk show or something. And anyway, that was awesome. I mean, they put my book up there. They had the 1-800 number up there, and it was just blowing up. So it was a good day at the office that day. So
that's awesome. I don't remember that, but that's really cool. I think I know we had something we wanted to talk about, which we will of course talk about.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I didn't know any of that stuff about you, Stu, and I don't want you to carry that quiet professional thing too far. You know, it's like you need to learn how to beat your own drum a little. You know how, but
yes.
What I'm saying for people is don't keep stuff a secret. And you gotta not be embarrassed to, and I'm not saying you are, but don't be embarrassed to toot your own horn. That's part of marketing. That's part of credibility building. There's an art to it, of tooting your own horn, but don't be afraid to toot your own horn a little bit, because that's just super cool. I had no idea you'd done all that stuff.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So what do we want to talk about, Jim? We got two options.
Okay, well, tell me. What do you want to talk about, Stu?
We have a we could do a little discussion on the Ooda Loop. You ever heard of the Ooda Loop?
No, but this sounds like something you would do with an Oompa Loompa after a hard night of drinking.
Nope. The Ooda Loop is actually a really kind of how your mind and body work together when it is in any situation.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Right? You up for that? So the Ooda Loop stands for observe, orient. You want to write these down? That'd be a good one.
Of course I am. Is this going to fit with our Carver method of what we're going to blow up?
Yeah, you know what? It's not unlike the Carver method. Absolutely.
Okay. Ooda.
So
okay.
Observe.
Okay. Okay.
Orient.
Okay. Okay.
Decide.
Okay.
And act.
Okay.
And this was developed by Air Force fighter pilot Lieutenant Colonel Boyd.
Okay.
Right? And he was a Korean War veteran. So, I mean, this has been in existence for almost 70 years.
Okay.
So, in fact, if you ever go to Air Force Base and there's a loop, like you're driving and you see an address, it's very, very good chance that is going to be called the Ooda Loop.
So you might live on Ooda Loop?
You might live on Ooda Loop.
Okay.
It is a thing. Google it. You'll learn a whole lot more about the history, and it's fascinating. But it really is kind of how the mind-body connect. No matter what situation you're in, this process can take a split second, but it can also be used in more thoughtful processes of work, life, whatever, right?
Okay.
So think about it. You know, your senses are involved in observing.
Okay.
What are you observing in business? We'll try to like relate this to business versus.
Well, let's do something real quick. You gave two different scenarios. One, it's like a split second thing,
Okay.
and the other one is a longer thing. So,
all right, let me give you one real quick about the split second.
Okay.
Okay, so you're driving down the street.
Okay.
And you're about to go into an intersection.
Okay.
And there you notice it's green. It's a green light, so you're about to go, but in your peripheral vision, you see a guy that is obviously not going to stop.
Right.
And you now, have to figure out, all right, do I need to, you observe this happening, and you now figure out that, all right, within a matter of a few seconds, I'm about to hit this car going my current route. Do I make a decision to stop immediately? Do I veer left? Do I veer right? There's all these little things that are being processed in your head at that split second.
Right.
And you make a decision to do one. And that decision requires a near almost immediate reaction and action. And that is a basic form of the Ooda Loop. Now you can apply it to military precision. Think about a fighter pilot. I mean, good Lord. I mean, you're talking about within a second and a half, that thing has already been traveling at 500 miles an hour. It's making some distance in that short a time. So what Boyd was doing in a lot of the training of his younger fighter pilots was to make this process faster, smoother, and more accurate decisions on the actions.
Okay.
So that was the whole premise of this, but people have used it countless ways in the last 60 plus years and have applied it to business, applied it to everyday, applied it to hand-eye coordination training. There's a lot of uses for it.
Okay. So let's talk about how you would use this in a business situation.
All right. Well, how about you tell me? How would you use it in a business situation?
Okay. So I'll use an example of something that we're working on right now in content marketing scripts. Okay. One of the things that I have observed is that everybody understands the concept of the 3 steps of content marketing, which is ideation, creation, and systematic distribution. Everybody understands that. But what I'm seeing is that everybody's been doing a great job using the scripts with number 1 and number 2, but understanding that there's the whole battery analogy. What's happening is part 3, by the time they get done, they only have a little bit of battery power left, and most people aren't doing the systematic distribution, and they're certainly not doing it with their feeder content. So I decided, whilst on one of my many now recent, early morning walks, I decided, you know what? We need to automate this. We need to find a way to make this the easiest part of the process. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is to use software. So I had to make a decision. So maybe this is this gets a little fuzzy here between orienting and deciding, but it's getting stuff figured out.
Hey, real quick, Jim, a lot of people describe that orient phase as it is a conglomeration of your training, your history, your experiences. All of those things go into helping you orient yourself, into making the right decision.
Okay.
Into adding options for you to decide.
Okay. So I think that is still under orient. Okay. And then I had to figure out, okay, are we going to do it, or are we going to partner with somebody? And after much deliberation, research, and everything else, I decided that we were going to partner with somebody. So we started looking at all the different options out there. We made the decision who we were going to partner with. I, in the space of a week and a half, went from not even knowing of this company, but not knowing anybody there, to working my way all the way up to the CEO, having pretty intense negotiations with them and buying a piece of their company. So that, that was the action stuff.
Yeah.
So now we're just getting everything straight so that we can have a nice level of integration with them before we roll that out. So that is definitely where I have used this process in the last month and didn't even realize I was oodling. So I was oodaing. So that's kind of cool. So this isn't something that has to happen instantaneously, but if you I think probably the biggest, if I'm just thinking now about myself and other people, is that this right here is the key step, because we've all got tons of experience and other stuff, or can access experience, but it's being observant. It's in business, especially, it's actually observing what's going on and being able to make your own decisions about what you think it means, because by the time somebody else is telling you what something means, it's not too late, but you're certainly not the first mover.
Yep.
If that makes sense. So that's one thing that I have tried to develop in myself is trusting my own intuition about stuff, trusting my own decision, not waiting for someone else to validate what I'm observing, because then it's too late. I think that a lot of that comes from my history degree. I mean, looking back at it and stuff, and other things that have happened in my life, I can see things that develop that in me where maybe other people might not have developed it to the degree that you would hope they would.
Yeah, absolutely. And observation is also not just seeing things, right? It is all senses being involved in how you perceive what is going on. It's not only looking at personal vulnerabilities, it's looking at opportunities, problems, maybe even future problems, being able to foresee some of those things. All of that is part of the observe phase. And you're right, observe is very important. I would say orient is also very important, because that is the root of really the amount of information that you're turning into, or I should say, it's the amount of data that you're observing that you're turning into information that will be useful. And that comes from everything in your life that you've experienced, from education to experience and training and just everything. So it's a really powerful way to break down what happens from first perception to acting.
And interestingly enough, this is a framework to use where most people's framework when they observe something or see something is like, what the hell? Go into panic mode. There's no framework for breaking stuff down, especially, I mean, nobody's pointing a gun at you. Nobody's about to drive a beer truck into you in an intersection. Calm down, take a breath, and then think it through. What this really is this is a framework for thinking something through.
Yep.
Instead of just, why is this happening, Stu?
Hey, another thing that stops us dead in its tracks at the observe phase is denial.
Ooh.
Like denial will stop this dead in its tracks. Like
start over on that, because
normally it flows pretty smoothly, right? But there is something that can trigger an immediate stop, and that is you denying what you're seeing, you denying what you're feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
you denying that there's a problem.
Sure.
So-
or
yeah.
denying that there's an opportunity, not observing that there's an opportunity. I think denial with problems, and there's other stuff like that. But where do you see denial? Before or after the observe phase? After, like in
Yeah,
here?
it's in between, and it just puts it detours the whole process.
Okay. So denial.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, how many times have you like had something on your to-do list around the house that you've observed is really like nagging, right? Let's say a leaky faucet, right? And you're just saying, yeah, it'll be all right. You know, I can twist it a little bit and make it go off. I don't really need to fix that yet. And then, you know, you put it off because you're like, man, this is going to take me all day to fix this. And then you wind up fixing it in 10 minutes. You know, so that's a really poor analogy, but
No.
it is just one of those things that it can stop progress immediately.
Sticking your head in the sand. You like what is that? Is that not an ostrich? Look at that, man.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad. I mean, a kindergartner would have gotten at least a C. I can see that though. Living in denial, being in denial of what you're seeing, sticking your head in the ground. I'll tell you something else. Another one. This is just, now we're just riffing and thinking. I'm loving this because it's really got me thinking. I love the framework stuff.
I thought you would.
But one of the things I think that also is at play in here as well, and I'm not sure, I think it's right here, is, and this, I feel compelled to say this, is waiting for things to change back. Like you see something coming, and all of your mental cooking skills are telling you this is some change, but you don't go down to deciding you're going to do something, let alone acting. So you, at this stage, you decide, you know what? I don't know what to do, and I can't decide what to do. So I'm just going to wait for stuff to change back. I'm going to wait till this blows over. I'm going to wait. You know, it goes hand in hand with the denial. It's like the denial phase after the orientation phase. So let me give you an example. The world of online selling is very different now than it was 25 years ago. 25 years ago, selling online was real simple. It was real simple. You basically asked people to be on your mailing list. You send them emails. You got traffic by getting press. You got traffic by doing stuff that worked in the search engines. And you got traffic by other people telling people about you for a commission or just because they were doing new stuff. Then it slowly has changed. At some points, it's changed faster than other things, but it has been perpetual change. And I have seen people, a lot of people that I could name by name. I'm not going to, but they all, if you imagine that the information superhighway, they all at various points got off at rest stops on the information highway journey we were all on, and literally are waiting for things to change back. They're waiting for, no, I'm serious. It's like, they stopped evolving and are just waiting for the grand cycle to come back, and it's never gonna. So that's just interesting because this has given me the framework to kind of see how people act and think and do all that stuff. And in what this is telling me is that when you see something, it's almost like the best way to go from observing to orienting is to eliminate judgment up front. And what I mean by that is this we all want to say, hey, this is bad, this is good, this is a threat, this is everything. It's like, let me see what's happening, and let me just kind of, as non-partisan as possible, let me figure out what's going on here. Let me, investigate all aspects of this, a good walk to think this over, not a run, because I can't think when I'm running. But a good walk just to think it through and then lay out alternatives, evaluate, decide. And then once you've decided, one of the things in Think and Grow Rich that Napoleon Hill identified is that super successful people are quick to act and slow to change their minds. Unsuccessful people are slow to act and very quick to change their minds. Their commitment level is low. So once you make that commitment to act, you need to act because you're acting on the best decision that you could make at the time. So
that's
anyway.
really good. I thought you would be able to do something with this because after chatting with you the last couple of weeks and the project that you just mentioned, that was right up the Ooda Loop alley.
Sure. Now, it's not to say once you start acting that everything's perfect, because usually when you start acting is literally when the real work happens, when you start solving problems and making stuff happen. But you're not.
You have to repeat the Ooda Loop because your actions will affect the present situation.
Right.
And you will have to observe how you just affected, your present situation.
Sure.
And you go through it again.
Observe what's going on, orient, do your mental cooking, decide what you're going to do, and then act. And then it just repeats itself over and over and over again. In fact, I dare say that this might be considered a loop.
Do you want to see how I drew it up, Jim?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why they call it an Ooda Loop.
Yeah, let me share this with you.
Nah, this is good. You and Dexter do this like, hey, let me throw something out, wind Jim up and let him go.
Yes. Check this out. So I wrote an article on the Ooda Loop, and this is on my website, stewsmithfitness.com, and I just applied it to tactical fitness.
Okay.
Right, and I made this, by the way, my little Ooda Loop. So observe, orient, decide, act, and then right here it says finish or repeat. Right, because you're going to repeat that loop there. And what I did is I actually put this Ooda Loop into my tactical athlete operator Venn diagram.
Okay.
Right, where I have durability, work capacity, stress mitigation, and stability, and it's part of this stability section where you're just job skills, coordination, mindset, all of those things kind of go together. And this Ooda Loop, making this Ooda Loop a better process can definitely help you with somebody's printing something.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I'm in my wife's basement still. I'm getting a garage built for myself. It's going to take a while.
That's all right. So anyway, I put the Ooda Loop into my Venn diagram of the tactical athlete. Wrote a little bit about the history and everyday situations of the Ooda Loop, and just kind of broke it down, and training ideas and how you can actually train it. More for the tactical mindset, but it was still a nice little piece that I did last week that just got me thinking. I said, this would be great to do on the Jim and Stu show.
Absolutely. So. I love it. I need to learn more about it. I would love for us in the not too distant future to talk about the Carver method. That framework is awesome. I actually have taught that and adapted it to be able to help entrepreneurs be able to choose amongst a number of possibilities. When you're, that's all about the decide. That's a framework for deciding.
Yeah. But it's also, it's a very clever way to understand that vulnerabilities are opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. What people see as a vulnerability out in society, or maybe another business is having a vulnerability. It's an opportunity for you to
absolutely
figure out how to do it. You can apply that to military missions as well, obviously.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that framework. I mean, I'm never
Yep.
going to be a fighter pilot. I barely have a driver's license, but I can definitely use this. I'm gonna read your article and start thinking that through, because that's a great framework to be able to think things through. Awesome. Well, great job, Stu. This is a really
Thank you,
good
sir.
show today. And you
Thank
know
you, sir.
what? We didn't.
We didn't have Mr. Pickles, man. What the heck?
Yeah,
We were able to pull
I'd
this
like to-
off with no gimmicks.
I'd like to hear about your OODA loop there, Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickles' Ooda Loop is probably should be reserved for TikTok. Yeah, I guess this. I think we have some homeschoolers that watch us on this show. I don't think you want Mr. Pickles talking about any kind of OODA loop or anything like that. He might lose his cool. So awesome. Well, appreciate probably a little gherkin. Nice. All right. Well, we appreciate y'all being here. We didn't really acknowledge everybody, but thanks, Frederick, Leslie, Vicky, Rob, Anna's here, Leslie, Carl. What's up, Carl? Deanna's here, C. Ray's here, Nancy's here. So we had a bunch of people here with us live. So I'm glad you guys, hope you enjoyed this. This
Yeah,
was a
thanks.
lot of fun. I learned some cool new stuff. So thank you for this topic, Stu. This was awesome.
You are welcome, sir.
And we had a really great interview with Christine. She's doing great. And it was what made me excited about her book is that she's in a great position to use that book to get all kinds of offline business. That's just shows how having your own book really is like the Swiss Army knife of marketing tools in your toolbox. You can use it a whole bunch of different ways. So before we end, let's check in with Susan and make sure we're okay. Susan.
Okay, why wouldn't you be okay?
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that it was okay for us to end the show. Are we good?
Hey, I'm not your mother, nor do I live with you. So you do your own thing.
All right. Well, appreciate you too, Susan. Thanks for being here. And all right, great job, Stu. And we will talk to you soon. Everybody have a great day.